All right, you guys, we are starting something new in our podcast. We are going to start doing a weekly wrap up of our top TikToks of the week. And, TikToks are only like what, a minute long? I do a minute. Do you do a minute?
Yeah, usually a minute or less.
Minute. I really don't do the 3 minutes. My attention span, I don't even watch 3 minute TikToks.
Yeah,
So I'm like, if I'm not
same.
going to watch a three, I'm not going to do a three. So we're going to start coming in here and kind of going in a little bit deeper into the TikToks that really hit obviously the mark by the views that we're getting. So that's going to be a weekly thing that we're going to start doing. We'll start launching some podcasts out where we go in depth about a TikTok that really had some good comments or a high, volume of people watching. And man, if we would have done this a year ago, I had a lot of TikToks blow the fuck up that were, you and I both get some positive comments most of the time, and then we get some dog ugly ass comments.
Oh yeah.
We've had. Talk about some of the things that you've read on some of your TikToks.
People can be crazy. I mean, I've gotten death threats on mine, private messages, death threats. People there are people who don't like divorce. They think that it should not even be an option. Till death do you part. You made those vows. It is, and that's just the way they see things. And that's fine. That's just not the way I see things. And that's not the way a lot of people see things. And sometimes divorce is the only option left because they've tried everything else and it's just not working.
Right. I think I get a lot of people telling me, because I'm high conflict, divorce talk, that people tell me, I'm the problem, and you should have thought about this before you had kids with him. This is your fault. And maybe you're the high conflict parent. And why can't you just get along with somebody? Like, you're making this more difficult. And it's like,
it's so always closed-minded.
Yeah. It's always people that have never lived this life. I mean, I am even keeled on everything else in my life, and was even keeled with this bullshit. But to come on after watching a 1 minute TikTok, stop yourself, hit pause, hit the button, and type the bullshit that we read sometimes is just like, we both went through phases where we didn't read our comments because
I'm still not reading them.
I'll be honest, my assistant reads most of mine, but I like to see how it first goes. Like, so when I launch a TikTok, I'll go back in and see, okay, did I hit the mark? Like, are people like agreeing with this, or is this like blowing up negatively? And sometimes it gets ugly. The ugly ones always seem to fester down at the bottom. I don't know what that's about, but
yeah. Or sometimes you're just straight up misinterpreted and like they take it just in a completely different way than you intended.
Oh yeah. I made a video once about saying, and it came across wrong. I went back and watched it after I read the comments. I'm like, okay, I could see how they took it that way, but that's not how it was meant. And it was about, I said 50-50. And if you work a lot of hours, you shouldn't get 50-50. And what I meant was, and I still feel like I have to defend myself, what I meant was the person that says, I want 50-50, but they go to work at 5 o'clock in the morning and they don't come home till 8 o'clock at night because they choose to work two jobs, or they choose to go to the bar till 8 o'clock at night, or they choose to just go sit at the coffee shop at 5 o'clock in the morning and not participate in raising their kids, but they want 50-50 all of a sudden, knowing that they're never going to give up those habits that they have. Well, that didn't get taken that way. It got taken that I said all first responders that work 12-hour shifts can't have 50-50. And I was like,
yeah, not what
never came out of my mouth. So we thought we would do this because I feel like, not that we need to defend ourselves. That's not what this is going to be about. It's going to be about explaining more after we've read the comments, or like, there needs to be more conversation about this TikTok. So what TikTok are you going to discuss that's kind of been a good one?
Yeah, one was a good one this week. It was actually a duet I did with Dennis Ferrano, who is a divorce attorney in New York. And he talks about how staying for the kids is not good. Like, that's not the best scenario, right? And I completely agree, because there are people who think that regardless of how bad the relationship is, you got to stick it out for the kids, right? You don't want to stress them out. You don't want them in a broken home, which I don't think that that's even a real thing, a broken home. But here's the thing. When I was in my marriage.
Which one?
I'm gonna talk about my second one.
Okay.
Because my kid was older then. My first marriage, I divorced when she was only a year and a half. So the second one, she was, I think, like 7 or something, six or 7. And so when I'm in that relationship and I'm on antidepressants and I'm in therapy and I'm stressed and anxious and I'm super unhappy That's the mom she's getting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Fight or
That's
were you
how
in fight or
is
flight
that?
most of the time? Fight
Hmm?
or flight? Were you in fight or
Yeah,
flight
yeah, I
most of the
mean,
time? Yeah.
it was not good. It was not a
Right.
healthy relationship. It was not a healthy,
Right.
happy environment. And that is what my kid's getting. That's the version of me she's getting. That's how I'm showing up in my life and in our
Yeah.
relationship. And that's what she's learning. Like she hears us fighting when she talks about my ex, she remembers like just our yelling at each other.
Mhm. Yeah.
How is that good? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Why would I stay in a relationship like that? No, no, you shouldn't stay for the kids. You know, it's like you're teaching your kids, oh, this is what marriage looks like. This is what a relationship is. This is
Yeah.
what happens. This is how you communicate.
Yeah.
This is how it affects you. That's a terrible I was being a terrible role model in
Right.
that relationship. And because I decided to make the hard decision, divorce is a very difficult decision.
Hard.
But you make
Mhm.
that decision and then it's like, okay, now I can like be myself. I can be healthy, happy. I can learn how to stand on my own 2 feet. And I'm showing her all of these things. You can do hard things. You can trust yourself. You can stand on your own 2 feet.
Yes.
You don't need a relationship to be happy. You can find a partner. And now I'm in a relationship, and it's the healthiest relationship I have ever had in my whole life since I started dating. And now that's what she gets. She gets the happy
Yeah.
version, mom, healthy, no more therapy, no more antidepressants. And I get a
Yeah.
completely different relationship with her, but then she also sees me in a whole different relationship. So now her expectations fucking skyrocketed. Her
Right.
standards for
Right.
relationships are going to be a lot different than they were when she was seeing me in my past
Right,
relationship.
because 'cause we're modeling the whole time, and, your story is a lot like mine with staying because I got married so fast, got married after 60 days, whoop, red flag, and so I felt like and I got pregnant 60 days after that, so I'm having these kids right away, and he was controlling and, OCD, over the top, abusive, controlling the house, and I got to where his anger I wanted to protect the kids from it, so I started being angry with the kids before he would get home. If he got home at 4:15, at 3:45, I'm like, "Pick up, let's go, do this," and I'm like screaming at the kids and being like, "Hurry up!" And I'm getting angry and I'm lashing out because I wanted to do it so that he wouldn't walk in the door and do it. So I was protecting my kids from him, but really protecting him to where he didn't have to be the bad guy. I turned into the bad guy, and I thought, I don't want to be this way. I don't give a shit if the toys are out. He's the one that gives a shit if the toys are out. And so that's why I left because I noticed I didn't want my kids thinking that's who I was because that's not who I was. You can go upstairs right now in my house. It's a fucking train wreck because that's how we don't, that's how we live.
Yeah.
Like you're going to play with them when you get home. Let's leave them out. And so I caught myself being somebody I didn't recognize. And that's no reason to stay, because I kept thinking, fuck, this is only 4 years in. Like this is going to be horrible. He's going to get to be the good guy because and that's what would happen. He'd come in and he'd be like, "Wow, kids, your mom's been yelling at you, like you poor things." And I'm just like, "Really, dude?" So then they would see me in a negative light and him in a positive, and that wasn't what was. It was like he had
Yeah.
got me into being him. And so to stay in that was going to be horrible. And I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to be that parent. I noticed my parenting style changed at 3:45 when I knew he was going to come home. And so and my kids would be like, "Ugh," tense around me and it was like, no way. So staying in that would have been horrible. And
Mhm.
like you, I'm in a great relationship now. My kids saw me do it on my own for 10 years. They saw me struggle, they saw me excel, they saw me do everything on my own. They saw independence, but now that they see me with Jer, my life is so much better and well equipped and grounded, and they get to see how he treats me and how
Yeah.
I treat him, and they get to witness. And not that you need to show your kids that, it's nice, but if I would have stayed, they would have seen nothing but hostility, angry, fighting, resentment was so thick at our house.
Mhm.
Frustration. I mean, all these negative. Everybody was walking around on eggshells. We don't want to make dad mad. We don't want to make it, shh, dad's taking a nap. Shh, everybody be quiet. It's like I'm supposed to keep 3 kids quiet in the back of the house while you take a nap on the fucking recliner. So I'm yelling at you in the bedroom to keep you quiet. So it was just like, no,
Yeah.
like not at all. And that whole fight or flight feeling, the whole marriage, is not good.
No,
So
it's super unhealthy.
yeah, and I think we've done this question a lot, and then we'll get into my TikTok. We've done this question a lot about asking our support groups, which are free, by the way. If you're listening, you can join those support groups. Everything's in our bios. But people always say, "I waited too long.
Yeah,
I stayed for
that's
the
a huge
kids. I
common
waited too
regret.
long." I mean,
Yeah,
it was what? Like we did that poll one time and it was like 98% of people said their biggest
yeah.
regret is that they waited too long to
Should
pull
have
the
left
trigger.
sooner. Yeah, the
Mhm.
other one was I wish I would have like slowed down in the process, the legal process, and not
Yeah,
like tried to hurry up and get it over with because then they
right,
regret what they missed out
right,
on. But yeah, I should have left sooner. And I mean, it makes sense because that's the thing. And if you look statistically, women like 70 or 80% of the time are the ones that usually file for divorce because we try everything. Like we do whatever we can to try to make it work. But at the end of the day, you can't change another person. It's either going to
right,
work or it's not. If both people aren't invested in making changes and holding themselves accountable, that's what are you going to do?
right.
Just stay? I mean, and fear and overwhelm, fear of the unknown, all of that stuff is usually what keeps people longer
Mhm.
than they later think that they should have stayed. It's like, well, I was just scared. I didn't there was so many unknown factors. I didn't know financially if I could do it. And so
Yeah,
I mean it makes sense. I think on average it takes about 2 years of someone even contemplating divorce before they take
that was me. That
those
was me.
steps.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
I mean it is scary, but I just think that and I know some people they might get triggered if I compare for comparing a marriage to a business, but a marriage, when you're stepping into that, you're stepping into a partnership. It's a
Yep,
legal document that you're signing, right? It's like if you start a business with someone, you go into it with the expectation that, hey, this is gonna hopefully work out great, right? But then the years go by and sometimes it just doesn't. You just don't work well with each other, or somebody's not carrying their weight, or the
yeah,
relationship has changed, the dynamic has changed, and it's just not working anymore. And so then it's like you have a decision to make. Yes, I know I made this promise. I know that I did, but what
yeah,
about the promise to myself? Like I'm
right,
responsible for my own happiness, right? Isn't
yeah,
that what we like? Nobody else can do that for me. So if I'm in a situation that sucks and then I can't change because it has to do with another person who's willing or not willing to do certain things, I'm just supposed to deal with it for
right,
70 more years?
right.
That's crazy to me. Like I just
No.
can't. It makes no sense.
I know. I don't know where it was or what article I read, but like that renewing your vows every 7 years and having a freebie to get out at the 7-year mark. Hey,
Yeah, like a lease.
yeah, like absolutely. I am all for that because,
Yes.
I changed and evolved.
Reassess.
When I got married to my ex-husband, I think I was like 25, just turned 25, and had babies right away, obviously. It was like who was when I hit 30 was not who I was at 24, 25 when I
Mhm.
met him. Not even close. Like I had kids now, I had a strong, steady job, like I had adult stuff. And it was just like, I'm looking back at my immature 25-year-old self going, bitch, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
Like, what were you thinking? And so being able to be like, you know what? He's still the same person. And I've evolved and changed and I went out. And it is hard because it is a lot of the unknowns that you don't know. But to stay in something for me, it was I could have stayed, for like the not having the shame and guilt of divorce, but what I was projecting and showing my kids, that was a no for me. I couldn't stomach knowing they were watching their mom get verbally abused, getting emotionally abused, getting financially abused. Like
Yeah.
I
You're
couldn't.
shrinking yourself.
Yeah,
There's no boundaries. It's like
I
these are
was
the habits that they're going to pick
unrecognizable.
up.
Yeah, I was unrecognizable. I wasn't anybody I wanted to be when I was with him. And as soon as
Mhm.
I got away from him, I became back to who I wanted to be plus better.
Yeah.
Like it was just plus better was the best part. I just learned so many new things. But a lot of this, you guys, if you're in this boat of struggling with who you are or what's going on in your divorce, we do offer group coaching. And I can't tell you enough, the women that we have in there right now, it's a small group. We do different time slots to make it, doable for you, but they get to jump on with us in a Zoom session and get instant feedback in that Zoom session of, hey, what's your issue? What's going on? But the best part about that group coaching is they have email access to us, and we have women that are taking advantage of it every single day. We offer the service Monday through Thursday. We do take the weekends off unless it's emergency. You can email and be like, emergency, and we will help. But for the most part, you can send us emails if you're one of our group coaching clients, and we'll give you that feedback. We have people sending screenshots of their situation with their ex and saying, how do I respond to this? I'm triggered and I want to go AWOL and say all this stuff. But we have people that just say, hey, I'm down today. How the fuck do I give me words of encouragement? Hey, my lawyer sent me this today. What do you think? And we're not legal advice people, but we're like, hey, here's some questions to maybe take back and ask. Here's some strategy. Here's what other people we know have done. Because we've been doing this a long time. And so we've seen not just our clients, we've seen hundreds of thousands of people's cases come through and their situations, and everybody's situation is different. But the group coaching, we're really booked up with the one-on-ones. So the only thing we could think of was to say, hey, instead of only seeing one person an hour or every 30 minutes, let's offer a group strategy where people can get in instantly, because we offer those Zoom sessions every other Tuesday, and we offer the email access Monday through Thursday. So if that's something, think about that. Obviously, the link is in our bio. Now, I want to get into my TikTok. So I made a TikTok the other day, and this is a pretty popular one where I have a lot of women that call me and say, Sam, he's wanting to move in with this new girlfriend. She has 3 kids and they want to have the same weekend with our kids. Meaning your ex moves in with a girlfriend who has the 4 kids, you have 3, and now they're going to have 7 kids every other weekend in their house. And I get a lot of moms that are like, fuck this. I want him to have the kids on his own weekend. I want him to connect with those kids. I want him to, see those kids and have one-on-one time. And I don't want my kids to be with 4 other kids that are strangers. And I hear your perspective. I totally do, mama. I totally see that mama bear coming out and you're wanting to protect your kids. But I kind of want to play devil's advocate a little bit. I want you to think about, what will it be like for you to see your kids with 4 other people, 7 kids in one house? Does your ex even understand what that's going to do? Like, for me, I'm a strong believer in put them together, because that's real life. If your ex-husband is going to be with this woman, that's real life. They're going to have 7 fucking kids together, and they need to figure it the fuck out. Why take the easy route and have 4 one weekend and 3 another? Put them all together. They're step siblings, like, if this is going to work out, this is going to work out. So I like the idea of putting together, because there's a couple positives on that. Number one, your ex now has every other weekend free. And you might be going, well, that's bullshit. Well, so do you. You have every other weekend free because your kids are with your ex. But I'm here to tell you, from 16 years with a high conflict person, when he's getting laid and has free time to go run the streets on his motorcycle, he's a much better person to deal with than if he had kids every other fucking week or every weekend. He would be resentful as fuck if he had kids every weekend, and he would punish me for it. I know he would, because he would think it's a great idea at first until he realized he had no fucking free time to go get on his bike and be gone for half a day. So for me, I love the idea that your ex would have every other weekend off. I think it's great. I think it's great for them to get out, cut loose. No excuses as to why they can't parent on the weekend then that they do have their kids, and show up for your kids on the weekend you do have your kids. The other thing is, I want to see them struggle. I'm going to be honest. You think this is a great idea? You met up with somebody that has 4 kids? I want to see the struggle of 7 kids. Figure this out. How are you even transporting 7 people? You got a big cargo van? I mean, think this through, guy. And this goes both ways. I know women jump into relationships with people that have kids too. So this goes both directions, but I'm all for it. And in the comments section, it was a mixed breed of what people thought.
I'm for it too. I mean, I think part of that is also what your ex decides to do is kind of none of your business. I mean, I know that's hard to hear, but it's true. Like, if that's what he wants to do at this time, even though it affects the relationship he has with his kids, that's the decision he's making. That's the way that he's nurturing that relationship. And you don't really have a say when it's happening over at his house. But also, and this is coming from somebody who, I have an only child. So when she goes to her dad's house, she's got a half brother and a step brother. But she likes it. Like, she goes from kind of being by herself here, and then she goes there and she has just other kids to hang out with and other kids to play with and stuff. And so maybe your kids want to have some kids to hang out with, and they don't want to just hang out with their dad all day, every day. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that when it's something like that, you're trying to do what's best for your kids, right? That's your intention, is like, I just think that what's best for my kids is if they're there and they get that one-on-one attention with their dad. Yeah, maybe, but we don't really have a say in that, right?
Right.
I mean, that's
Right.
not our business. It's like, would you want him telling you when you can and can't have this person you're dating like come over, even if
Exactly.
they have a kid? Like, I would be like, fuck you, that's none of your
Right.
business.
Right. And the other part of that is if your ex isn't wanting to spend that one-on-one time with your children, why are you forcing it? You're trying to
Right.
force something that your ex isn't willingly wanting to do right from the beginning. Like if your ex is like, no, I just want to put them all together. Understand that a lot of people are wanting to put the kids together also because they don't know how to parent on their own. They are freaking the fuck out. I know a lot of people turn their nose up when your significant other goes right into a relationship and moves right in. Part of that reason is fear of being alone. They
Yeah.
haven't done any self work yet to work on themselves and they don't want to. And they have no idea how to raise children and they're bringing in somebody else to say, help me out. Tag team, let's go. I'm a nervous wreck to do this on my own, so can you help me parent? And for me, I've dealt with 16 different women in my children's lives from my ex-husband. I'm all for it. I'm all, at the beginning, I was like, God, fucking revolving door here. Like, Jesus. But now I'm all for it because those were other eyes on my kids. It was a mothering instinct, around my kids. Some of them, barely had fucking their period for 2 years. But, like,
He'd be on better behavior because
yeah.
somebody
And there was somebody always watching him, So for me, it was a win because I knew there's another person I could subpoena if I need to. But it was just like, at first I was pissed because I'm like, really? Like, what is this 24-year-old? It's like, she's closer in age to our daughter than you. Like, what are you doing? But then I'm like, well, let's see how this plays out. I can't control it. All I could do was give my kids, some coaching on, hey, this is an adult, be respectful. This is a woman. If you need anything, you can go to her, ask her for help. Like it's still an adult. I'm still going to teach my kids to be respectful to this person. You don't have to like them, but be kind, and respectful to
Right.
them. Because after a while, my kids were like, seriously, mom, another one, like, what the hell? But I just think what Leah said, you don't have any control. Now, if your ex comes to you and says, I want to switch weekends permanently in alternating weekends so that I match up with my new girlfriend and her kids, that's a no for me. When you're married, I might consider it. But if this is a girlfriend, absolutely fucking not. Go ask her ex-husband to switch weekends because I'm not changing my schedule for a girlfriend. You commit to her, you marry her, it might be on the table, but I'm getting something out of the deal. I'm going to get 2 weekends in a row before I'm going to switch. I mean, make it work for you. But
Mhm.
honestly, we can't control it. And there's nothing you can do besides help your kids with the tools of like, hey, you're going to be sharing a house with, just make sure you have a place to sleep. Make sure, you get time in the bathroom to take a shower. I mean, there's a lot of things that I think your ex isn't thinking about when blending that big of a family together. And the only reason I use those numbers is because I had this like situation. That's why I made the TikTok where it was literally 7 kids from ages like 10 to 2, all in the same house. That's a lot of, and it was a 3-bedroom home. So this, ex-husband had moved in with this girl and it was a 3-bedroom home with 7 kids on the same weekend. And so the mom was like, I know my kid's sleeping on the floor. I know my kid probably isn't getting a bath every day. And,
Here's the story of a man named Brady.
right. And so sometimes it's just like none of your business. And you're going to have to watch your kids, figure it out on their own and be able to communicate to that parent that they're struggling or they need more or, hey, I need a bed or, hey, and a lot of it though is just worry about your house. Just worry about your
Yeah.
house and
Yeah. And
realize
that's
that
not easy. It's not
no,
easy. You have to really, I mean, it's a battle that I still have to fight with myself.
right.
Some of the stuff that goes down over at my ex's, I'm like,
Mhm.
I just have to deal with it. Like, I don't have control over what's going on over there. As long as your kids are safe, obviously,
Right.
we're talking
Right.
about like life or death situations, but
Right.
you just got to let some of that shit go.
I think what you said about, the role reverse it. And I say that to my
Yeah.
clients all the time. I know you're really pissed off about that house, but do you want him to have the clout and the ability to come over to your house and be like, "Hey, you just got with a guy that has 3 kids. What were you thinking?" And I'm telling you as someone that and you too, finding your next partner, which needs to be a whole different podcast, is so hard. I've dated guys that had kids, and the second I even moved one in, shame on me. I did it. We dated for a long time, and I was like, hey, he lived with his parents, which, God, I don't know
Mm.
how many red flags I need to fucking see, but he lived with his parents, had his kids only every other weekend and one night a week. moved him in, sweet guy. But when I saw him parent, I was just like, "Oh, fuck no, this is not gonna work out." Like, absolutely not, I have a certain style, he did not. He had his own style, it was just not my style. And so here I was, had him moved in and it caused a lot of problems and, huge mistake in my mind, now looking back on it with the knowledge I have and education I have. And it was just one of those like, "Oh yeah, sounds like a great idea, let's do it." And it blew up because our parenting styles were just different. And so when you start dating, those are questions you have to ask. Does your new partner know about love languages? Does your new partner, have the same discipline style, the same structure, the same reward system? And it doesn't have to be duplicate, but are they willing to learn? Are they willing to adapt? Are they willing to have the kids on the same page? Because when you have your kids and that person has their kids, you can't help but you're connected by blood to these children, and those are not by blood. And I've been a step parent before. I love step kids, but they're not mine. And so it's very easy for me to discipline and be a little bit more stern with those kids than my own sometimes. And you see things differently, right? And if he were to talk to my kids, I'd be like, "Whoa, Jack." Whoa, those are my. And so you got to work out so many different dynamics when you start dating with kids and they have kids. It is a little bit easier. Jared didn't have kids and David didn't have kids, right? So we got to kind of mold them into the parent that we kind of wanted and to fit our children. So that was easy for you and I, but I purposely picked someone that didn't have kids because I tried to date guys with kids and I just couldn't do it because either their ex-wife was fucking batshit crazy or they didn't know how to deal. They weren't a good co-parent with her and they bashed on her. Which I've dated people. My ex-wife, you wouldn't believe. I was like, "Well, see you later." I can believe it, because I'm talking to you. And so that dating part, maybe we should do a podcast on that if that's something that you guys, want to hear, because I've been through the ringer with dating people and trying to figure that out. Did you date people with kids?
Yes, I did.
And obviously it didn't go well.
No, but I don't think it had anything to do with the kids. I think it was just the person.
Yeah.
It just didn't work out. But I mean, I'm glad that, like David didn't have any kids. It was, because I didn't want more kids. Like I'm good with my one. I didn't want to take on more kids. So
yeah, I really thought that too. And then Jared was like, "Hey, you're such a good mom. Do you want more kids?" I was like, "I'm 40 fucking years old." No, but here we are, 2 more kids. Okay, you guys. So if you found this entertaining, forward this on to a friend that needs to listen to it. But this is just going to be a weekly thing that we come on and talk about some of our good TikToks that we have rolling out. Use the link in the bio that is posted wherever you're listening or watching this, because we both have a lot of great tools. As we mentioned, that group coaching is a great tool. But Leah Marie, what do you have out and about right now on your page that people could benefit from?
Well, I have a really great online course. So if you're somebody who you're going through or you're recovering from a divorce and it's like you need help with your self-esteem, knowing your worth, finding yourself again, that kind of stuff, building your self-confidence, gaining some clarity, that course is for you. It's self-paced. There's a bunch of video lessons. There's a bunch of like extra stuff. There's a course workbook, really thorough. Everyone's getting amazing results from it. So that I would recommend if that sounds like it's in alignment with where you're at.
And I've taken her course and it was phenomenal. It's so good that my 16-year-old watched it as well. So it's just to have that inner voice back in yourself and knowing to trust yourself and knowing what you need and to speak up about it. That's a really great course. The only thing I really have going on, I have the same stuff out all the time, and I really can't speak enough about the workshop that I do once a month. And September, I'm running the workshop a little bit later. It's a parenting plan workshop. So if you're in the midst of a divorce and you have no idea what goes into a good parenting plan and you want to get educated about it so that you pick the right parenting plan for you and you get a custom parenting plan with your attorney or with me and build that, because that is really the contract that's going to protect you from now until your children turn 18 plus. And so that parenting plan workshop is really beneficial. I run one every single month. If you're listening to this in August, the workshop in September is mid-September instead of the beginning of the month like I normally do, because I'm scuba diving at the beginning of September. And so I had to move the workshop. But you guys, we're going to be on again every week. We're going to be throwing out podcasts and YouTubes every single week from here on out. Hold us to that. If we don't, send us hate mail and tell us where the fuck is the videos, because we live for this. You guys have been great. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.